Most agencies never make it past the 10K per month mark, not because of clients, not because of skill, but because there's leaks in the system. Today, I'll show you what they are and how to fix them, and also the 3 frameworks that I use in my personal business that also allowed me to scale past the 10K per month mark with my own agency. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, let's jump into it. So like I said, most agencies fail before this 10K per month mark. And what we're going to go through today is just how to avoid it. Now, you're going to have to excuse the drawing because I did draw on this before and then realized the sound was muted. So we do this again. But the 0 to the 10K mark is one of the hardest. And it's not because of skill. It's not because of, the clients, the market, which a lot of excuses we hear. It is usually 90% always the systems. The 10K mark is fairly easy if you really think about it for clients at $2,500. And really all you need to do is just make sure that you sell the systems and you provide an absolute amazing service and it ripples through. The problem is people often make quite a few common mistakes, which we'll go through in a second, which causes the negative feedback or just puts you in a negative mindset to not accomplish that. So the harsh truth is this. They do fail because of the leaks in the system. If we really look at it, the AI market is booming. So $11 billion was spent in 2025. And to really put that into context, $11 billion was spent in 2025. By 2035, less than 10 years, 9 years and 3 months, $91 billion that number will become. So it goes from 11 billion to 91 billion. So really, there's no better time. And this is why you see a lot of the millionaires, the big whales, I guess you'd call it, all going into this AI space, right? There's, some of the biggest people that you see on Instagram are starting to shift their whole funnel to be like, hey, I'll sell you this AI. I mean, there's quite a few I know that are selling just ChatGPT prompts and training seminars just for that. So it's a perfect time to jump into it. The things that separate people is the systems, right? As a 10K a month mark compared to a $5,000 a month, compared to a $1,000 a month. Maybe you're on a first client, maybe you haven't started. The biggest factor is the systems and how everything processes it. So I'm going to go through the 3 mistakes that I personally did and I learnt, and I've adjusted them. And really, the moment I changed all 3 of these mistakes, I scaled to 20, 30K per month, fairly straightforward and easy after that. So mistake number 1, doing all the build yourself. In doing this, you're stuck in delivery, you get burnt out, there's no time for sales. And I remember doing my first retainer, I actually signed, I was ecstatic. I think I was in the first month and I signed my first monthly retainer and I went all in and I decided to do the building myself. I was still trying to learn a lot of the stuff. I only had about a month's worth of experience in that, so I was sort of learning and building it. But then I also had, I was trying to do lead gen, I was trying to do sales. I was trying to build this actual agency because I knew I wanted to go down the agency route. What it caused is there was so much friction between myself and this client. He's a wonderful guy, but it was just a lot of it was on my end for just long response times, just stressed out, burnt out, brain wasn't working. When we'd go in meetings, I'd sort of look exhausted, and a huge portion of that was just doing everything myself. So I realized this and I identified it after we lost that client. I realized it very early that, this plus the ROI on my time, that I needed to hire builders to sort of help with this aspect so I can maintain the growth trajectory to go up for the sales. So, and that's what I did. I led myself and I freed myself, not led myself, to sell and lead. And I started taking on this a lot like a leadership role, really. And obviously delivered more with less time. So although I wasn't doing the building, I was constant communication with clients. I was talking to them. I was consulting with them. I was doing roadmaps, auditing and planning. And I yielded such a higher result because of this, because of the customer facing aspect, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to remember that the client sees the beginning and the end, but not the middle, right? You could be the best builder in the world, but to the client, they ask for something and then they get something. That's what they see, right? The fact that, whether you're in the trenches for 10 hours, 20 hours, 1 hour, they don't really care. They care on the final product. So I identified that by hiring a builder, I could be at the beginning and at the end and be in those touch points very fresh and very, just ready. Which brings me to mistake number 2. There's no clear offers. When you're selling automations, a lot of people just sell the automations. They're very IT driven. They're very, flow driven. And the clients really don't understand the value when you do it. And this causes very inconsistent sales. An example of this would be, I sell automations to give you more time. Okay. That's, how do you justify that really? Where by fixing it and we sell the outcome, not the tasks, right? And we give a clear framework and we position it around ROI, it becomes a lot more streamlined, right? I will generate you 10 leads per month. It's a very common one within the industry. I generate you 10 leads per month. Okay, that's cool. It doesn't really tie it to anything. There's no value to it. 10 leads, yeah, okay. But I would need to get out my calculator to work out, is that a good ROI? If I said, or if you said, I'll give you 10 leads a month, which will bring in $50,000 per month, and all I'm charging for this is 10 grand, they're going to go, okay, instantly, that you can already see the gap in your mind, right? I don't need to analyze it. I don't even look at it. So when we're doing these fixes, we want to make sure that we're selling an offer. I do onboarding systems that save you 20 hours or save your staff 20 hours per week, leading to a larger top line revenue margin, right? Or leading to a $20,000 additional top line revenue margin. We can add financials numbers, but we need to sort of make it clear for the value, and we need to make sure we're not selling the automations. We're talking business. And this is what sells and changes. It's very easy then to go to a company and say, I'm going to pitch you this product is $10,000, but you get $100,000 return. Where if I never positioned it around ROI, I'm saying this is $10,000 and I'll get you 10 leads per month. It's just not hitting the psychological benefit that we need it to. Mistake number 3 is the broken systems, right? A lot of people, when they're going in, especially if you're like a solopreneur or you're doing this yourself, you have marketing, sales, onboarding, delivery, retention. But the problem is it's not a flow. A lot of people I talk to that are running agencies just say, oh yeah, my marketing and then my sales and then my onboarding. And what happens is it's like this, where you have marketing, onboarding, sales, and they turn to columns, right? They're individual and they're never tied together. The marketing doesn't turn into sales and turns into onboarding. It's not one flow. And ideally, we want them to be like this, where it's just one clean circle. And this is where a huge amount of the leaks happen. So a good example of this is this beautifully drawn diagram right here. If we have a start and a finish, often the biggest leaks and the biggest impact in the business comes from this mistake of not joining them all together. So a good example is, let's say we're doing onboarding and delivery. This is the delivery part, right? So we have start to finish delivery. Now in the onboarding, let's hypothetically say we done the onboarding call, we did the kickoff call, we met with the client, but we didn't get the logins for their CRM system. Now what happens is, because it doesn't flow through and I don't think about it, I get to delivery and I have a builder. I give them the building notes, and out of the blue, maybe we're sort of running a little bit behind schedule. They say, what's the login details for this? And I go, I don't know, actually. Let me find out. So I then go back to the client. The client maybe has a day delay, maybe 2 days delay, maybe we're talking over email. So we have a delay there straight away. They get the details. They then give it to me. I then got to go back to the builder, give them the details. They then plug it in. maybe it's wrong. Maybe the client hasn't given me the right ones, and it causes these time delays. That is a great example of things just not being smooth, right? If I had have done it smooth, we'd know, the login, we get the login details and we do the onboarding. The login is purely so it's streamlined for delivery. Delivery, we want to make sure that we get a Loom video from our builders, and that's so it streamlines into the offboarding, which then gives a better chance of us having a retention because, we give them SOPs, we give them documentation. So it all circles into one. And this is a huge mistake that agencies make. So the best way to do it is to map the growth systems, plug the leaks, smooth the handoffs, and scale faster. And all of these all inherently exist and become, just nature by treating this as a circle rather than individual columns. And in doing this, you'll find your revenue will just skyrocket up just from this simple thing of making everything streamlined, which is why in today's market, especially before the 10K per month mark, it's not about being the best builder. It is purely about being the best system designer who can design the best systems to give a great experience for the customers. You still have to build and, be competent or at least have a builder that's competent in building it. But I would say about 70% of everything, that's going to push you past the 10K a month mark is this system, right? Is this SOPs, is builder notes, how you're leading, how you're doing kickoff calls, how you're communicating with the client. It's all these things. And 70% of companies are adopting AI, right? So if there's so many people that are jumping on this train to sort of implement AI, the people that will win are the people that are systematically designing the agency around these principles. They have like real lean teams, real strategy, and they're just making it very nimble, not these huge, large teams, not these delayed communications between, sales and onboarding. Maybe they sign the contract and they pay, and it takes a week to actually send them an email being like, okay, let's do an onboarding. It's making this very streamlined, lean team. And that's really what's going to win and push past this $10,000 per month mark. If you go through and implement all three of these and fix them, I could promise you will see a huge change in your revenue and scaling up in it. But if you want to avoid these mistakes and start a real agency, whether you're a freelancer, a entrepreneur, or whether you just haven't got anything, I do have a school community where we teach all these. We provide you all the resources, and really you'll get your first client within 90 days. And we teach you how to build an AI agency the right way. None of this guessing, none of this mistakes of taking a month to realize, oh, maybe I should have done it this way. I provide everything in there. I teach you exactly how I've scaled my agency, and I've made over 50 grand in the last 5 months. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, the link is down below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.